Today, we're going to talk about personal branding, but we're going to do it using a principle that comes from, well, a carrot. Yep, you heard that right, a carrot. And I know what you're thinking, but stick with me. I promise it's going to make perfect sense. Let's jump in.
So how on earth can a common vegetable explain something as complex as personal branding? I know, it sounds a little strange, but honestly, this simple analogy is one of the clearest, most powerful ways to really get your head around how the world perceives you, both online and in the real world. Okay, just think about it for a second. A carrot is a carrot, right? But if you dice it up into little cubes, you get this bold, crunchy piece that's perfect for a hearty soup. Now, take that same carrot and julienne it, slice it into these long, thin strips, and suddenly the flavor is more delicate, the texture is tender, it's perfect for a salad. See? The way you present it completely changes the entire experience. And that right there, that is the whole idea. You are the ingredient. But how you choose to present yourself, how you decide to cut the carrot, that's what determines how other people experience you. And personal branding, well, it works in the exact same way.
So let's break this down into its two key parts. And we'll start with the most obvious one, your visual signature. This is all about how people literally, physically see you.
Your visual brand is simply the consistent identity you put forward with your appearance. And look, we all have one, whether we're intentional about it or not. And just like with that carrot, the way you present yourself shapes how people feel about you from the very first moment they see you.
And these visual elements can become incredibly memorable, right? I mean, think about some well-known people. You can probably picture Sushma Swaraj in her iconic saris, or Kiran Bedi with her really distinct haircut. The point here isn't about being flashy or following the latest trends, it's about being consistent.
This really gets to the core of why it works. It's psychology. When we see something over and over, we start to associate it with a person or an idea. It's a mental shortcut. So when people see you with a consistent look, that look becomes a stand-in for you. And that builds recognition, and most importantly, it builds trust.
Now, this isn't just some abstract theory. Here's a real-life example. Picture this. You're at a massive industry conference. It's a sea of faces, just a wall of noise and conversation. How does anybody possibly stand out in a room like that?
Well, all it took was one. Not a dozen meetings, not some long-standing professional relationship, just one single interaction before this event.
That's right. A single virtual call was enough for people to spot them in that massive crowd and walk right up to say hello. Now, why? It's because their consistent visual presentation made them instantly recognizable, and it made them approachable. That's the real power of a strong visual brand in action.
But here's the thing. That feeling of, hey, I know you, it's not just visual. That exact same powerful idea of consistency applies to what people read from you. So let's talk about your authentic voice.
So if your visual brand is your physical presence, your vocal brand is your online written voice. They're really just two sides of the same coin, and when they work together, they create this complete, really memorable picture of who you are.
Think about your own experience scrolling through a feed on LinkedIn or somewhere similar. You start to recognize certain writers before you even see their profile picture, don't you? Maybe it's their unique tone. Is it witty? Is it super analytical? Or is it deeply personal? Or maybe it's just the rhythm of their sentences. Whatever it is, that voice becomes their signature.
And here is maybe the most crucial insight from that whole conference experience. Person after person came up and said they'd been reading their stuff for ages, but had never once liked or commented on a post. This is so important to get. The people who engage with your content, they're just the tip of the iceberg. Your consistent voice is reaching a huge silent majority.
Okay, so what do we do with all this? How do we take the visual signature and the authentic voice and put them together to create something that actually makes an impact? Well, this is what we call the consistency payoff.
It really all boils down to this incredibly simple two-step plan. First, find your authentic voice and just use it consistently in everything you write. And second, choose a visual image that feels like you, and then stick with it. This is not about being fake or creating a character. It's about being authentically and reliably yourself.
Because ultimately, that's the goal, isn't it? To be remembered, to be recognized. In such a noisy world, authenticity and consistency are the signals that actually cut through all that static. It's what makes you unforgettable.
So, I'll leave you with this to think about. Whether it's through the way you look or the way you write, what is the single consistent idea you want to leave in people's minds? What's your carrot cut?